here we are at September 2019, and I'm realizing it was a year ago that Kolde Group hit the streets of San Francisco asking people, what do you think is going to happen? Because at that point, it was the longest period in American history of uninterrupted gains.
People are kind of starting to feel like this kind of growth is not sustainable, and it's probably going to take a downturn, or at least stop growing at such a fast rate in the coming years.
There's a question about sustainability, and are we in a tech bubble? My personal opinion is yes. I think that it all comes down to what's the valuation of data.
What are you thinking? What do you think? People are just flying away. So here we are exactly 1 year later, and the question is, what has been happening? Well, the biggest talk is the mortgage rates. If you purchased a $1 million house a year ago, you were looking at about a 4.6% interest rate. Today, we are almost a whole point below that at 3.6% interest rate. So if you purchased a $1 million house last year, you could now, for the same monthly payment, be purchasing a $1.1 million house. So that's another $100,000 you gain in purchase power. Good news is, if you did purchase a year ago, you can look at a refinance. It's definitely a good time to be doing that to get your monthly payments lower. If you are considering purchasing a home or an investment property, I really do believe the time is now, and it's not just the mortgage rates. I think there are other factors that we should be looking at. I was recently in Burlingame, California with Rick Cunningham at his economic update. He's one of the top franchise owners in Keller Williams Realty. Let's see what he has to say. We're here today in the Keller Williams office in Burlingame, California with Rick Cunningham. He just finished his 2019 Global Outlook Economic Update. Thank you very much, Rick. A couple highlights. I'm going to start with a question here. We're talking to a lot of our buyers in the San Francisco Bay Area that seem to be hesitating. They're not sure if it's the right time to buy. We are seeing a softening in prices the last 12 months, and rates, even though we didn't think they could get any lower, they actually just went lower at 3.5, I think, on what we're hearing. That said, low rates, prices have softened, yet some buyers are hesitating. I'm curious what you would think about that, specific to the San Francisco Bay Area market.
Number one, I think the buyers are listening to the media, not looking at the true numbers, because the reality is that the market went down because the interest rates a year ago really went up pretty significantly in the third quarter. And because of that, that caused the market to soften, whereby dropping the housing prices down a bit. But now that the rates have dropped down, we're going to see the prices go back up. And with that, you've also got the added impact of what's happening locally with the IPOs. So the companies that want to IPO locally, where that money comes into your market and competes directly with your current buyers, that money is going to be real money and real competition. And so the buyers that don't want to compete against that money for that should be buying right this minute. They should not be waiting.
So we're beginning of September right now. I know there's a 6-month hold on this IPO money. So what are we looking at from today?
We're talking about in the next month or so, you're going to start to see that money coming into the marketplace rapidly.
Okay.
And so
we could end up competing with all this influx
of course. And the thing is too, is it all comes down to supply and demand, right? Like, we say the market's softening, but the reality is we're in such a seller's market because of contracted inventory. We know that if we put 1,000 units in the first tier of the marketplace in the Bay Area, that we could sell every one of them, without question. When you look at the affordability, that's the problem. When you look at jobs, we're at full employment. So the key metrics that we look at is the economy good, and is the industry that in the area that we're in strong? Absolutely, and all indications are there. Recessions are normal, and recessions typically don't necessarily have that dramatic of an impact on prices really falling out. The problem is people look back to 2008 and 2009, and they listen to the media who exaggerate the amount of the impact that that's really making, and we've actually already seen the price drop coming in, and so therefore I believe it's an amazing time for people to really get off the fence. If they really think about the fundamentals about the economy, they should realize like now is a great time for them to move forward.
Right, you mentioned recession, where all the indicators are so strong that eventually something's going to start softening, swinging potentially into recession. We've had a lot of good years. That said, a lot of people I know are concerned, our clients are concerned. What happened in 2008? You did not want to buy before the recession.
Yeah, but the difference is with the legislation of Dodd-Frank coming in, people have more equity in their houses than they ever have. The bank balance sheets are stronger than they've ever been. And because of those things, I can tell you with 100% certainty that we will not see a relapse like 2008, 2009, because 2008, 2009 was the way they did stated income, stated asset loans, and it was the financial crisis literally driven by the housing market and the mortgage industry, and the way that they didn't have the stability and people didn't have enough equity in their houses. That's completely different today. Most people have enough equity in their house that they're not going to walk away. And yes, so if someone's just going to come in and flip a property, then they might be more concerned. But if someone's coming in to buy a property for their lifestyle, this is an amazing time to buy, and they should be buying.
I know what we see in the San Francisco Bay Area, there are a lot of jobs that are being created by tech. So I believe that's going to stay pretty strong, wouldn't you think?
I completely believe it. I mean, we're in the fourth revolution, which is the tech revolution, and I believe that not only to be strong, but really continuing to grow at a rapid pace. I do believe that the overvaluation of multiples is going to come backward a little bit, which is great because it needs to. But I believe that the tech industry at large is impacting almost every industry and will be here for the long term. And again, it's only going to keep increasing and not decreasing.
You mentioned there are 4 main cities that are the tech is surrounded,
Yeah, so really Austin and Los Angeles with Silicon Beach, and also the Seattle market, in addition to obviously the San Francisco Bay
Peninsula,
Area,
which is more the epicenter.
Correct, exactly. And so the fact is, if there was more affordability here and there was actually more housing stock, you would actually see more companies even coming here and things like that. And as those other areas are becoming so expensive as well, then again, those cities are also seeing the ripple effect of the housing boom because of tech. And I don't see any sort of indications that that's going to slow anytime soon.
Rick, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Sure.